Hey, this is Mike Howard, and in this episode of Here and Beyond, we ask what connects a kindergarten, a phantom hound, and a whistling nun. The answer is they're all connected to paranormal events that have happened in schools. Don't forget, if you want to be kept up to date with everything that goes on Here and Beyond, simply click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to click on the bell to be notified of any updates automatically to your inbox. Schools of every kind and in every location can be just as haunted as houses, castles, and battlefields. Maybe more so. Sometimes there are legends of students, teachers, and staff who died there, possibly accounting for the hauntings, but sometimes not. Number 1. The little daycare ghost waiting for parents. For a number of years, CV worked at a daycare school and had many times heard stories about the ghost of a little boy who occasionally appeared there. For example, when a number of children were waiting outside for their parents to pick them up, he would stand among them, confusing the staff as to how many children were actually there. CV was skeptical about these stories until a friend had first-hand experience with the little ghost. On this particular night, CV, a friend, and her husband were all at the school, helping to set up the kindergarten for the new school year. It was about 8 p.m. when the husband came in from outside and said that he had seen a little boy out there. He tried to talk to him, but got no response. He assumed it was the son of one of the other co-workers, and he told her they should keep an eye on him because it was getting dark and cold outside. The co-worker just gave him a puzzled look and said she didn't know what he was talking about. The man looked towards the door at the back of the room where the child stood looking at him, and again asked the co-worker why she would let her son run outside in the cold and dark. Now, a bit miffed, the co-worker replied that she had not brought her son with her. And as the man looked towards the door again, the child was now gone. Sometime later, an alarm system with video surveillance was installed in the school. One day, the director called in some of the co-workers to tell them that he had seen something on tape, CV says. They had actually caught footage of the nursery door open very slowly, then close, without anybody being there. The time of the recording was 3 a.m, and the alarm never went off. Number 2. The Dog and Orb at Kangeroo Inn School. In 1993, Deb was in the year 9 at school in a remote part of Australia. It was March when the days in Australia were getting shorter and the weather cooler. Deb's class and the year 8 students were enjoying a sleepover at the school. The school was called Kangeroo Inn, named after some of the old ruins that were nearby. The rock walls and a window frame were all that remained of the old inn, constructed and used during the gold rush, Deb says. Apparently, the Chinese couple who ran the inn were buried under the school somewhere, but no one knew for certain. Deb was put on cooking duty, barbecuing sausages and patties for tea. At around 6:30 p.m, some of her mates come down to ask how long tea was going to be. As I was cooking the barbecue, she says, I heard a dog barking. There are no dogs at the school. I could hear the bark coming from inside. I was about to investigate when a little dog, Jack Russell I think, popped out of the wall. It ran around barking, then headed over to the tech studies room and then ran through that wall into the room. One of the teachers who was staying with the children on the overnight came out to find the dog she heard barking. Deb told the teacher what she had seen, and the teacher replied, well, the school is supposed to be haunted, but not by a dog. When they heard the barking again, they all ran around to the other side of the tech studies building. To their astonishment, the dog was standing half in the wall, barking. While we watched, an orb floated out of the wall glowing green. The dog followed it, barking constantly. Then the dog and the orb floated up into the air and were lost from sight into the darkening skies. Some 12-year students supposedly caught video footage of the green orb early on, around 1988 to 1989. And also some teachers reported being shaken by the shoulders of or felt cold spots when locking up the school late at night, when sleepovers or events at school happened after school hours. Number 3. The little boy in the dorm that had a past. Christina was attending a boarding school in Fort Apache, Arizona back in October 2006. It was her first year at the school, but one of her best friends had been there for 3 years and had a number of spooky experiences there. For example, one day when she was walking past the stairs that led to the second floor, she heard what sounded like a little boy laughing, and she could hear his footsteps going up the stairs. To investigate, she went up the stairs and looked down the hallway, but she saw nothing. When Christina's friend returned to her bedroom, she glanced in the dresser mirror and saw a pale little boy sitting on her bed. 2 weeks later, however, Christina has her very own encounter with the ghostly boy. One morning, she had just gotten out of the shower and went into her room to put her shampoo and towel away. I opened the closet to hang my towel on my closet door, she says. When I was about to close the door, I saw him, the little boy, exactly as my friend had described. Christina and the little ghost stared at each other for a moment, and then in the blink of an eye, he vanished. I never saw him again, says Christina. I knew the dorm used to be a hospital and had a lot of sick and dead people. They said that the room my friend and I are in is where a little boy died from pneumonia. Number 4. The Whistling Nun. Kat was also at a boarding school when she had her haunting experience. It was an American boarding school in England, a building that dates back to the 1600s. During Kat's first year at the school, her dorm was above an old coach house, the horses that were built near the school's main building, an old mansion. The coach house adjoins a strange, tall building that is also a dormitory. At one time in its history, the building was a convent or a nunnery where religious nuns once lived. One night, Kat was up very late finishing her homework. It was about 2:30 a.m. and one of her roommates was still studying and another roommate was getting ready to go to bed. We suddenly heard whistling come from outside the window of our room, says Kat. The window looked down over a garden that connected us to the old nunnery building. Our room was 4 stories up off the ground, and the whistling sounded like it was coming from directly outside the window, as if something was hovering there. Too afraid to investigate any further, the 3 girls just sat and stared at the windows, listening to the whistling. After a few moments, it stopped. There was no wind that night, Kat remembers, and we could not have heard someone that clearly whistling from the ground. Besides, who would have been out at 2:30 a.m? Many tales have been told that the nunnery building is haunted by a nun who committed suicide centuries ago by jumping from a window. Was she the one outside our window that night, whistling to us?